interesting concept. Okay. So I guess what we're going to close out with today is something that we've been following, which is a lot of the urban air mobility marketplace, and also some of the things that Jetupterra has had themselves invested into, which is the high-speed VTOL competition for the Air Force, and others that may or may not be selected for the same concept. And ironically, I was just perusing, and today on another website, I found this thing from basically the Drive and the Warzone, which is actually pretty unique. And they're talking about the fact that Bell finally realized their plans of what basically is a rotorcraft slash jet hybrid, and still hovers, but has also been entered into the high-speed VTOL competition. But what really struck my eye about this, and one of the things that touched off between Corey and I, obviously being rotorcraft and fixed wing pilots ourselves, is the design and some things that stuck out almost immediately. And that design language is jets integrated in the body frame of the actual VTOL aircraft with folding rotors to make this high-speed range come true. Now, here's the difference. Bell has been in this development cycle for a VTOL aircraft that isn't in the form or shape of a helicopter,
right?
Osprey-like with some sort of tilt rotor, for a very long time.
Yes.
But others, okay, many others have been in this pursuit for over 50 years. Now, one of the great things is this article actually captures more of the history of some of these designs and the three-prong assault that Bell's going to go with, which is basically a UAS, an unmanned operating system one, a troop mover, and then a utilitarian one, which is basically going to be able to do types of hovers to go do rescues from sea and other things, right? Fantastic. So the other one's like a C-130 sized one, which is actually going to do more heavy lifting.
Yep.
Right? So they've got these three different ones, and they're claiming that where they're basically looking to go with these is at the 400 nautical mile per hour speed. Now, the problem that they say is that none of these will get over Mach 0.85 because of the amount of drag.
Right.
And there's also, they don't want afterburners, but there's a very critical phase of flight as to when this thing is going to transition from a vertical flight to a straight on forward flight, right? When it makes the transition, which the Osprey V-22 actually uses their tilt rotors and their cells to get through this, right?
Yep.
But the other thing is the amount of designs that have also been in this space for a very long time. So you have to go in and read the article because it's fascinating that the design of this actually started in the 1960s. So this is nothing new.
With Bell, yeah.
Yeah, with Bell.
Yeah, because the Air Force did it first, down there.
Yeah, absolutely. The Air Force did do it first. But now, even more so, though, to the conversation, is the fact that this is also a space that, with the addition of jets, Bell is not really straying into too new of territory, because actually, one of the main concerns that I do have after I read the article was, and I think Corey kind of shares this, is they've been at this for a while. And when I mean for a while, they actually teamed up with, Bell did. They teamed up with Agusta Westland quite a while ago to basically get off the ground the BA-609, which is the actual commercial utilization of V-22 Osprey technology, which is the something that's been in the military now for about 15 years. Okay, using tilt rotor technology, but using these rotors as a propulsive unit. And this one, unfortunately, Bell bowed out of the actual development of this. Agusta Westland has taken over. They've got other partners involved. And we haven't seen any real movement on the tilt rotor entry into the marketplace. And so with that as a huge caveat, because there's so much in that article to talk about, Corey, what's your feelings about Bell making the step into jet / VTOL blade vertical lift aircraft?
Yeah, I mean, again, a huge intro. There's a lot to think about there. And actually, again, I also encourage you to just read it if you're interested in history kind of at all in terms of flying vehicles. In this case, obviously, Bell and the VTOL kind of. It is pretty interesting. So have a read. But it does talk about how the Air Force did it back in the 50 and 51 with the Bell XV3. So Bell was doing it way back then with them as well. And it was successful, by the way. If you look up a picture of that thing, the Bell XV3 was successful. So that was the first VTOL, STOL kind of tilt rotor vehicle. So that's interesting. But then one of the things if we move forward and we talk about Osprey and then obviously the 60, they really were waiting for like digital engine control and then also fly-by-wire systems to really mature to the point where they could really like make a push with this kind of the Tiltrotor design.
Right.
And if you went back and looked at the V-22 program when it was kind of getting off the ground, it was also having some issues with same kind of things, transitioning, and they went what kind of pilots it would need and all that. And there was obviously some hurdles there that they did overcome. But so it is interesting to see that Bell is just taking the tilt rotor concept all the way to the jet stage now that they can. And I mean, purely a simplistic kind of view. I mean, they do look cool. Obviously, I'm not what we're focusing on here, but they do have a bit of that more sleek. And I would be interested to see
What?
how stealthy they hope them to be.
Okay.
They're still looking at use cases like they still talk about it in here if you read about it. The use case being skimming, nap of the earth, kind of flying, picking up downed or POWs or whoever they need to be picking up. You have special ops command, whatever, real low. And that's still kind of the idea with what they're thinking of doing with these. The two big ones, as you mentioned, there's 3 different sizes. The smallest one's unmanned, the medium, and the bigger one, they're both manned.
Right.
So it's I am interested to see where they get where it ends up going. It's not something to forget that it is entered into the high-speed VTOL challenge, as we talked about, because we have seen the initial design of this back in May. Did I tell you when we saw the first design that the Bell had unveiled for the new one, and it looked like kind of like a mix between like a small Learjet and like a VTOL thing that we knew wasn't the matured idea. But anyway, we know there's a number of different types of propulsion devices in the high-speed VTOL challenge, and we're seeing how these kind of pan out in the private testing that governments do. So,
which is interesting, right? So up on screen right now, and there's a comparative of the speed that people want to get this done at, the different versions of what aircraft have been out there to do this role, and how long they've been at it. It is not really on the screen, unfortunately.
Which one?
So this one right here. So they have the operating nautical miles, the speed in knots, but what they're not putting in here is the timeline of what it's actually taken for people to actually make something successfully in the marketplace. And now they're talking about 2030 as having this capability, right? This is a long and difficult road, right? Very long and difficult. That's why it hasn't been successfully proven that any one of these has made it into the marketplace yet, or as we know of, except for the V-22 Osprey, into military hands. So when if you use the rotors as propulsion and for lift, there's caveats there as to how successful it can be. And then when you use turbines for the actual propulsion and rotors for lift, well, there's caveats there. I will say this bodes really well for what Jet Terra has in store for the industry by skipping some of these major developmental steps, by not having to rely on rotors to produce vertical flight, right? So that's one thing that's a caveat there. Another thing that I'd like to bring up, though, is if you look at the videos and some of the stuff that's in this article, there's the Aurora Lightning was one of the programs that they were working on. And it was a demonstrator that I think that they are saying went back to not too long ago, but nothing came of it. And what it brings up visions of in my head is Lilium.
Oh, yeah, very much.
It looks really a lot like Lilium.
Ironically, exactly what you're saying. When I first saw Lilium, like the first time I ran across Lilium at all, I thought of this exact thing because I had read about this, I don't know, a while back. And I was like, wow, that looks exactly like that X-plane that I tried a while back. And there you go.
So this article says right here that was back in 2008, 2009.
Yep.
So, and again, the caveat here is it's not easy to get something that flies into civilian service, let alone military service, when it's even backed by lots of funding, unless there's merits in the design that actually prove that it's got value, right? And I think one of the things there that I would say again is one of those things that you would have to value is if it's quiet, if it reduces the amount of maintenance, and if it performs the same amount of thrust to its counterparts that are already in operation today, and it does it at a cost-effective savings.
Oh yeah.
So those are 3 of those huge things that have to come into play before we actually see these materialize in the marketplace as people get all excited about it. My feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Speed, cost, sound. Well, we talk a lot about the noise level of civilian VTOLs in urban settings. You don't have to go very far to think, okay, yeah, we want military vehicles to be quiet too, because we're fly, people want to shoot at us, so let's be quiet.
Yeah.
So that go hand in hand. And yeah, it's. I mean, I think it's. 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 I think it's something to keep track of again. I know we keep saying that, but it is because we are keeping track of the high-speed VTOL
Yeah.
in competition. That's an ongoing thing. So we're gonna keep track of that, obviously with Jet Up there as well, but also to see now that what the Bell concept, where that goes, and some of the other players that we've been goes to.
Yeah, and there's Gory made light of this before he came on
Oh yeah, I
live.
forgot about that.
There is one other thing here. It's called they call it the SLURP.
True, yeah, Project
which,
SLURP.
Not kidding, it's called the SLURP. It's basically their high-speed VTOL drone version, which actually you could explain what the SLURP version is there because it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, let me bring it up just so I got it in front of me. But
it's real interesting.
At the bottom of that article.
It's
on
at the
Drive
bottom.
Video, yeah.
Yeah.
The idea with the SLURP, and I'm trying to get it so I can say what the name is without.
Is it Swarm? No. What is it for?
Okay, I can't find it. The idea though is that it's a rearm refuel platform in the ocean, for manned or unmanned vehicles that we can use rearm our vehicles away from ships or stealth refueling tankers or something like that, so we can have more access to operating in remote areas like the Pacific, for example, is what the reason they gave, than currently, than having like surface ships out there. So we wouldn't need to have a surface ship that would be, protected and also refueled there. We could just have these platforms that can even, as it says in the article, they can even submerge and then be out of sight, at least on the surface.
Right.
And then surface when needed, the VTOL lands on it, rearms, refuels, or whatever it needs to do. Again.
It's called the Sea-Based Logistics Unmanned Refuel Rearm Platform, or SLURP.
Yeah, exactly. I know I messed that up, so it's like,
okay.
I need to look that up.
I mean, I can't make this stuff up, folks. It's right here. It is SLURP.
But you're not going to forget the name.
No, you're not.
Right? So there you go.
It's the SLURP system, right? It's not, and you're not going to find this at your local 7-Eleven. Going to go and get a.
It's
SLURP.
the Slurpee.
It's the Slurpee. No,
system.
This is the SLURP system.
No, definitely not.
So I guess the ideology here is that this little platform here submerges, and it becomes an unmanned refuel and rearm platform, and then that little tanker goes back under the water, and this thing goes on unimpeded to its next target or mission, or whatever it has to do, in search and rescue or delivering some sort of ordnance. There you go. Interesting stuff. Hey folks, we like to focus on this stuff, and if you like what we have to say, by all means, let us know in the comments below what you think about what we're talking about, and also if there's any other things that you want us to bring up on this topic. We'd be more than happy to discuss it. We love the channel growth. We appreciate everything you guys do for us, and we're excited to keep bringing you new content. And if we're completely off base, let us know too, because hey, that's part of the conversation, and we'll continue to grow and learn with you guys as we see more of this stuff progress. That's what we got.
Yep.
So, that's a Monday show for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So thanks again. Thanks for the support, the likes, the shares, the subscribes. You guys know the drill. So thanks so much.
Yep.
And I'm done. You done?
I am done.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Amazing.
We will check back with you on what are we doing? Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yes. Sounds good. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Excellent.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Roscoe says bye.
Roscoe says bye.
As he stretches.
He can't say anything. He's a dog.
He says it all.
Oh.
Stretches over on the couch.
Really?
He's at least awake.
It's funny how he just sits there the entire show. I mean, what he does.
Yep.
He's a dog.
But yeah, man.
We love him.
So you're gonna build another house for your TV?
Sure. And I'm gonna put a SLURP in the backyard.
You should.
The pool.
We got in the pool or in the lake across the street.
Sure, that's
So
what
you
we're
can
doing.
land your helicopter.
You know what I'm doing? I'm gonna hang the TV screen under the SLURP, so it could be a hovering TV screen out there. That'd be great. No, I'm not. Just saying. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you real soon.
All right, bye.
Take care. Bye bye.